Okay, next on the list will be the NRC tail tighty fender eliminator and the fork ring blinkers to get rid of those. And I'm going to take you through the whole process on installing this and doing it the right way. Again, YouTube already has these kind of videos, but I'm here to help people who might have this specific bike and want to do it and watch my video. That's great. Also, we're going to take off the passenger foot pegs because I don't let people ride on the back, and I want to clean up the whole tail end of the bike. So I'm going to probably pull those off first, but once I dive into that, the actual blinkers and stuff and the tail tighty, I will start recording the process, so stay tuned. So just quickly point out these passenger foot pegs. The far side over here is extremely easy. Not that this side's hard, but you can't really get to unless you take this heat shield off on this side, so that this drops down a hair plus minus the plastic on top, and then you got to use it's a 6mm Allen, and it just fits right here. But yeah, that's off. So I'm gonna pop this back on, and then I'm probably gonna do this first. So just a quick rundown on what you need for this. Not a lot of stuff. 10mm socket, T20 Torx bit, 3, 4, and 6 Allens, and a flathead screwdriver. This is the hardware that it comes with. This is the turn signals and license plate holder, which has an LED under here that shines onto the license plate. There are 2 different positions that you can set the plate to. You can have it here, so it's further out towards the tail of the bike, or you can have it tucked up under so you don't really see it as much. That's preference that you need to pick when you're installing this. You do have to take the rear seats off. I already had these off because people are probably going to hate that I did this, but I hate the factory stickers that they put on here. You shouldn't ever get rid of them, although you can look all this stuff up. But this one has like your VIN on it and stuff. You still have the VIN on the bike. That's different. You don't throw these out if you take them off. I like to save them, so I carefully peel them off. I re-stick them, and then I also I have like a shipping packaging tape, clear tape, that I put over that, so it's like not going to go anywhere. Just don't throw them out. There's one on the swing arm, and on this side now you don't see that gray sticker right here. It looks a lot better. But anyways, back to this. The first thing you have to do is there's the Torx bit in this hole, and then you have here, and on the other side. You got to take those 4 out to separate this whole tail section to get to the wires. Okay, so I took the 4 Torx bolts out, which are these guys. Like I said, that drops this whole thing. These are the connectors that we need. So the white, like I was saying, is for your license plate light, and then your 2 turn signal connectors. I'm probably just going to cut this zip tie. There is a little clip here, but I don't think you'll be able to snake this through here. It's going to be too big. So we're going to cut that. I have new zip ties. And then you're going to take these 4mm. There's 2 4mm right here, Allens. You're going to take those out. Okay, so this is out. This is the top part. You actually don't need to touch the 6mm Allens up there to get this completely off, but these wires snake through this hole, so you got to pull them back through. And this metal piece on top kind of slides up in there, and it's just like slides into like a rubber like notch, so it's kind of feels tight. You just got to wiggle it out and it'll drop out. Okay, so you have to fit this plate on before you mount this and get it how you want it. Like I said, there's two mounting options. So those two little caps that I had here earlier are here now to fill the holes that you're not using, so it just has a cleaner look. I'm gonna use the mount that hides the plate a little more. So this will sit, you know, it's basically tucked under the bike. And the other thing is, that's pretty much it. Okay, so get those all plugged in, and then obviously just check that they're working. So, right, left, and clearly this is lighting up. So that's good. And then honestly, probably the worst part is just getting all of this wire to somehow fit into a place where there's nowhere for it to go. Just got to be careful you don't pinch anything, and make sure that the license plate light wire is not in the way of these two holes to mount it. And the only other thing I didn't mention was that black piece of plastic is like a spacer that goes right here. So don't forget to put that on. And this last cap goes in this hole right here. So I'm gonna get this mounted up, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's back on. And that is it. That is the finished look. Just make sure that these, the mounting bolts, those are the two that are like countersunk. They should be the last two that you have left. It's a 3mm Allen, but this metal is super soft, and if you don't get it to sit right, they strip really easy. So I would hand tighten those as best you can before you start really cranking on it. But yeah, NRC does a good job at the fitment, the way this sits. I was mistaken. I thought that this was gonna slide into the bike, and it doesn't. It sits on the outside. But yeah, it's already, I mean, it looks a million times better. It's cleaned up. So that's done. I can put the seats back on, and then I'm gonna start the front. So let's get that going. All right, I'm ready to start the front turn signals. These are the NRC rings that clip onto the forks. Just quickly, I threw this back on and didn't really show anyone, just in case anyone's wondering. The screws, they're 4mm Allens, take the seat off. And then obviously this one, you have to use your key down here to take this off and put it back on. I know on my old bike it was just one little bolt right here, and it wasn't behind the seat, it was actually exposed. This one's a little different. But yeah, so I'm ready to do this, and basically what we're gonna do is there's two mounting bolts under here that allow this entire thing, the front headlight assembly and the cluster, to come forward. We'll put something on here so we don't scratch it. That allows you to get to the connectors for these wires. We're gonna unplug those. There's two bolts, or one bolt on each side, two total in here. One here, one on the other side. These actually do like fold open, so you don't have to mess with the triple tree or anything getting these off and putting the new ones on. They fit, they actually, you go to this like skinnier part of the fork and clip them on and then slide them up, and then you run the new wires. The only thing is, unlike the back, in the front we have to splice the actual connector from here onto the new wires, and I can show you guys how I do that in a second, but let me get this off and then I will check back in. Okay, so it's two 10mm nuts that bolt onto these mounts down here. It's actually the same as the headlight on the Monster build that I did, and then there's two like little these little, like, I guess you call them nipples. They slip into these rubber grommets that's how you mount this whole front setup. So you pop those two bolts, those two nuts off, pull it forward and up, and it pops out, and then you just let it rest. And then there's a zip tie on this hole right here, cut it. That's holding all the wiring for the turn signals behind this metal bracket. And then there's two more zip ties you have to cut to break these loose. And then you disconnect right here, these little black connectors. Now this is gonna come off with this, and then you're gonna use this plug with the new turn signal. So you have to reconnect this to those wires. So I'm gonna take these off, and then I'll show that. Okay, so basically, you're gonna cut this connector off of the turn signal, pull back the rubber sleeve, cut it back, strip the wire so it's exposed like this. And then what you should do too is just test, like, you can like twist the wire together and plug it into the bike and make sure that you have the right wire going to the right wire, because there's no way of really checking. These are both black. One of those is red, one's black. So you want to just test fit them first. Then okay, that took a little longer than I thought, because they give you 2 pieces of shrink wrap, and I think they should give you more than that just to do a cleaner job. But definitely make sure you hook them up to the bike before you connect them and do all the shrink wrap, because both of these are black and this is red and black, and you want to make sure you have the right ones. And then once you know, I used like a white paint marker, just mark one of them. So like, put the white paint, I put it on the red wire, on the black that goes with the red wire, to make sure. And then what I did was I cut the factory plug pretty far back, just about to this. I cut the wire probably to here, but then I stripped the rubber like casing to this tag, and then I gave myself a good connection between the two, and I put individual shrink wrap on each connection, so that when they're together in the big shrink wrap, the metal on metal isn't touching, because it'll like ground out or whatever, and the blinker won't work. So you want to make sure that you don't have just the 2 connections together inside one shrink wrap, because if they're rubbing, sometimes it might work, sometimes it might not, but that'll be why. You want to make sure that they're not touching. So I individually shrink wrapped each one, shrink tubing, and then I put 2 more over the entire thing to seal it completely. So I mean, it looks like just a normal harness at this point. You can't really tell that we did anything to it. And then this package, I can't really find great directions on their website specific to this, but there's videos on YouTube. But they give you these little like pieces of like rubber hose to put on the ends, and then this piece of styrofoam you peel and stick onto here. It's actually the same on the Triumph. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see the little styrofoam thing in there, and then there's like this rubber tube on the ends. So we're gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna get this back on and all hooked up, and then I'll show you what it looks like. All right, those are on. I reran the wires. So basically, I kept the end with the wire towards the front of the bike, because then it kind of just drops down and gets behind the headlight pretty quick. And then I zip tied everything. I was able to get all the stuff back behind here and put a new zip tie on this. So the plugs are actually zip tied to the bottom of this metal bracket. And then everything else is kind of just zip tied to the other harnesses that are here. And then when this goes back on, that all gets covered. We got front turn signals and the rear tail tidy. Both are NRC. Show you what they look like. We got the rear and the front. Just cleans everything up. Looks really good. So that's it for this video. Hope it was helpful. Hope you guys enjoyed. And stay tuned because in the next video we are going to be taking the exhaust off. So I'm excited for that. Like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. Thank you.